Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast episode today. It is September 18th, 2024, and I am happy and lucky to have returning guest Maya Dayan. Maya is a certified facilitator of Access Consciousness, and you can reach her at www.mayadayan.com and also on the Access Consciousness website. And just go to facilitators, find facilitator, and you can find her there. Thank you, Maya, for being here today, and welcome.
Thank you, Shauna. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So we were just chatting about money a couple seconds ago and thought that that would be a great topic to delve into today.
Let's delve into money and everything I think that goes on Shauna's podcast is about the topic with the tools of access consciousness. So like no matter what we're talking about, we're adding the flavor of what it looks like to have different tools to approach anything in life, really. And that's like one of the great gifts of access, that like every topic that you think it's this thing, and then through consciousness you expand it in a very different way.
Yep. Oh, and also you're in Costa Rica?
Yeah, I'm definitely in one of the places that the founders of Access Consciousness actualize through that question and creation with money in a very different way. And it's still in development, but it's an amazing resort in Costa Rica. And everything that, like, it's just built in such a sustainable way. They didn't cut one tree to build this place. They didn't dig down, like usually you have to dig down like I don't know how many meters of earth to put foundations. They didn't do that. Like they just, everything about this place is so unique.
It sounds like they maybe put the casitas on stilts, like they raised it, and then yeah, because I remember
Correct.
Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, saying that he did not want to move the topsoil or harm the earth. If you guys would like more information, that is at www.lel-lugar.com. So it's El Lugar with a dash. And it looks pretty cool. Got some good photos there. Yeah. And you were with horses earlier today?
Yeah.
So is that like horseback riding?
Yeah, we horseback ride here most mornings,
Sweet.
and it just adds to the whole experience.
Did you guys go through water?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Is it hot there?
It's always around 29 degrees-ish in Costa Rica, so yes.
Oh, that is so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That and so like, if we're including money and talking about money today, I get the sense like when I'm talking to you, I get this like sense of like expansiveness, warmth, I guess I'd even say comfort in a way, but it's like really cool because it's like, what if that's like being money?
Hmm. Yeah, I was listening to something on YouTube with Gary Douglas talking to some people about money, capitalism, and it was very interesting to perceive now, and it keeps growing. I didn't really didn't arrive anywhere, but like from where I started 7, 8 years ago with consciousness, it's like we have these ideas, beliefs, and then, we can say, oh, I hate these capitalists, but really all it does is kind of excludes us from what we could have available to us in our life. Because if it was like I grew up in a socialist communist environment, and if that was more important to me to keep those beliefs than to have all of this around me, I wouldn't have been in El Lugar right now, because coming to El Lugar requires having money. And it's a very like, it sounds simple, but it's also sometimes it can be a lot of work with getting brutally honest with ourselves, seeing where we're limiting our money belief thoughts. And when you hear for the first time that money is just a choice, it's like, what do you mean money is just a choice? Like it sounds unattainable a lot of times, but really it's creating a totally different relationship from everything you learn that money is or has to be or should be, you know.
Mhm. I was listening to a choice for possibilities. I've been listening to it for the past couple of days. And they're always so intense. And there's this part where Gary is talking about money, and he's like, you'll always have a justification to not have money. He's like, what if you had the justification to have
True.
money? Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. It's like,
And me and you were talking a little about like having money magic. And
mhm,
it, again, it sounds weird concept, but a lot of times when we need it or when we're very clear, sometimes we don't even know how it shows up, but it does. Like, so we know we can do that, and we know we can do the reverse energy, and then it's just the journey, I guess, of mastering that, because a lot of times you're like, no, I only know how to make it disappear, but that's not actually true. You
mhm,
know, I do know how to make it show up, and what will it take for me to be willing to go on that avenue and not the the comfort of I know what it looks like when I'm stressed, or I know what it looks like when I make money disappear. And we have our brains are so interesting. Like the things that we do that are usually the opposite of being kind to us. And it also takes a lot of courage to get out of that, because I mean, when I came to Access, I lived in a one bedroom in a tiny town. I
mhm,
taking a bars class was beyond my scope of reality. Like it sounded like so much money, and you
mhm.
really have to choose to go towards something else for it to show up for you.
Yeah. Um, it sounds like when you were talking, it gets clearer to consciously choose to have money and be money, well, perceive, know, be, and receive money. And as you were talking, it's like, the conscious work, action, and effort to actually be like, okay, like what is being money? What would it take to be money? And choose that. And then because like I think maybe sometimes people just think that if they think money will come, which is probably will work for them, it'll just come from wherever. But sometimes it does take a little bit of choice and being. So, because like if you're like, oh, well, if I think it, it'll happen like magic and show up, but maybe also it like if it's not working out for someone, there might be a bit of a like maybe energetic congruence that they have to like adjust and then see what their point of view is about money, because sometimes maybe it's a bit could be a bit contradictory where you're like, well, I am being money and I want it, I want money, but it's not coming, so what's wrong here?
Yeah,
So there's like the wrongness, the judgment, the wanting, the need.
yeah, yeah. It is. Oh my God. It's like when it becomes a fun learning experience, then it's like when it becomes generative, because as long as you're still judging yourself on like, oh, it didn't show up and what's wrong with me, and you're kind of like, because as Dr. Dane mentioned on a call a couple of days ago, it's this program that's $22. Speaking of money,
I'm on it.
grab it, grab it. But he was saying like, when he realized that the construction company is conning them, like, taking way more money from them than what's required for the construction on a project, it was light. Like, you have to acknowledge what is, no matter what, like without judgment. So it's not that everything is always bright and shiny per se, but it always leads to more awareness kind of thing. So like acknowledge, like we think that it would be wrong if we acknowledge, oh, I actually hate money and that's why I'm not allowing it to show up. But actually acknowledging where you're at right now can help you get to the next step. So if you're just like in the pretense of I'm money magic, but actually you're constantly struggling and fighting with money, like, is it worth to you to look at what you're actually doing? And that's where the honesty with self comes in. And, again, it's like, it's a process.
For
It,
sure.
yeah, it takes time to recognize even what you're doing. And that's where the layers of the unconsciousness go away and you get more clear what you're actually doing and where you can actually change it and how you can expand your money reality. Because like I say, like we never arrive anywhere. Like, oh, cool, I managed to get to these places. What else can I ask for? How else can I expand my financial reality? Like there is no end, really.
It's so deep because everything you're saying has you're going straight to the layers of where getting brutally honest of yourself. I mean, if we did that for all the things in our lives, I'm pretty sure it would change. And then also the time. People also put time in there. So it's like if it doesn't happen this instant, then it's not going to happen. But, I think it took me 10 years to get one thing, or like maybe a week or a couple months or a couple years, with money too. So in regards to money, like, and then like creation as well. So it's like if you have a business or if you're creating in a way, maybe sometimes people are like, oh, well, well, I made a resume, but I didn't get the $1 million because that's what, how do you put that together? But at the same time, it's like, well, whatever you're creating, it could take time for things to adjust and flow to you as well. But
Hmm.
maybe, and a lot of people have said that like it's not all about money either, you know.
Absolutely not. It's about the creation of your life however you would like to create it. And that's part of the process with money because money is just energy. First of all, it's a big, huge thing, but we'll just mention it here. And then money is just the fuel. So, what would you like to fuel? And for each person, it could be totally different.
Hmm.
But the idea is that you can stop fighting it or being afraid of it or making it more than you, or there's so many things that we do with money, right? Like really there's so many things that we're just mentioning the tip of the iceberg here as we do on Shauna's podcast. But so like just meeting it suddenly without the energy, oh, it's just fuel. Okay, so what would I like to add to my life? And just to give examples that are not only the positive. Like I remember one time when I was like, I cannot afford this class, and I was so holding on to that point of view that I didn't choose this training that I wanted to take. And I was like, I can't take the training, I can't afford it. And so I end up that same month with dentist bills that were the exact amount. So I could have chosen to take that class and perhaps even change whatever was going on with my mouth. And that just to show you what we do with our points of view. Like we create the reality and then we have to prove that it's real and true. But we end up like, and again, for me, that's money magic because I just proved that my point of view is correct, but it's against me kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, so instead, it's like, what question could I have asked and what decision did I make that wasn't real and true? And you just start investigating because you have both. You have the ups and the downs, and the more you're in question and the more you meet with your choices and what you're choosing to create, the more you can be fluent with what's available to you, I would say.
Well, and I think the coolest topic that we also talk about is the question.
Mm.
And, that gives
Oh
room.
yeah. So even saying like I can't afford this training is not a question, just to just to mention here.
Yeah, I think question's a lifelong like practice because we often go to, oh, I have to pay this bill. And it's like, well, what question is that?
Even that, yeah.
And yeah, like it's if you're asking, okay, what would it take for money to show up? Or, you know, what can I be or do today to have more money in my life right away? Asking a question and then choosing it or looking for, even just looking for it, and receiving it can be the magic where, things do show up. And I I know that there is a capacity, well, I guess we can chat about this, like where you you can have it show up where it's like working for you. And I know that because there's talk to the entities, like courses, there's the website, and it's a study, and you're an advanced talk to the intermediate talk to the entities facilitator. And I guess my point of view is like, oh, I know you can ask entities and communicate with them and say, hey, bring me some money or help me with this or whatever. But then also there's probably this point of view where I negate it, where I'm like, well, it's not happening and this doesn't work. And oh my God, I don't know entity anything. So it's like, if there is a contradictory, conflicting point of view, maybe I have to sit there and look at that, clear it and be like, okay, what else is possible here? Like, because like, where am I stopping myself to having that magic, mystery, miracle show up? But then I'm constantly negating it. Oh, well, I can't see this. I
Right.
don't know what I'm talking about. I must be
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Which again, it's like when we move from being this like thing that needs and that's powerless and is looking for power outside itself to being the being that is in charge and still asks for contribution from the whole universe, but it's just from such a different energy.
Wow. I was on a meeting the other day, and we're actually so in Canada there's the residential schools, and they turned a residential school into a casino,
Okay.
and I guess we'll be staying there. And I was like, oh my God, freaking out because I'm like, there's entities. Like, I got like freaked out for a moment. And I was like, and someone had said, hey, why don't you ask the entities to bring you some luck and bring you some money? And I was like, oh my God, I never thought about that, And I was like, oh, whoa, like that is when that person said that, it was such a life-changing, earth-shattering, thing. Like it totally expanded my universe because I went into freak out, trauma, drama, upset, intrigue, PTSD. And I'm like, is that even mine? You know? And then, and someone said, you know, ask for the entities to contribute. Like, what the heck? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, if that ain't magic, what is? And just asking
Yeah.
that question.
Um, well, gone.
Well, it's like, and yeah, the cool thing about that is constantly using the clearing state. So if anyone doesn't know what the clearing statement is, you can look it up at www.theclearingstatement.com, and it explains everything because it takes all that energy and it just clears it, you know.
And that's like part of being willing to go on this journey is that you learn how you function. Like, so if you're unconscious and you go there and you're like, oh my God, and so sometimes you don't even know you're functioning like that until you do, which is part of us evolving into being more conscious and aware beings. Like, oh, okay. And then if you're willing to ask a question, another possibility shows up and someone contributes this piece of information to you that makes your life greater. But part of it is acknowledging, oh, okay, am I functioning from, everything's outside of me, everything's more powerful than me, everything is against me, different versions of that, right? And it's not wrong. It's not wrong. That's how we learn to function here. It's mostly not kind to us or contributive to us, but that's how we learn to function here. So learning to recognize that starts allowing us to change it. And sometimes until we're willing to see where we're doing those behaviors or choosing that point of view, only then will that start changing. So
I
that's what the classes are for. That's what running bars is for. That's what choosing more and more is for. Like, we have the concepts, like you said, like, I could actually tell someone, here's a interesting creature contributing. Like, you can tell someone that same information that the person gifted to you, and they won't even be able to receive it. So you can also be an acknowledgement, like, oh, look, I was opening to receive a new possibility. But that is like part of being willing to keep learning and keep expanding what's available to you, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to compliment you on your necklace. I went
Oh,
squirrel for a moment. It
mhm.
looks really
Thank
cool.
you.
It's really pretty. And I also wanted to circle back to the part where you were like, talking about the universe,
Hmm.
because sometimes, so often, that spatial awareness, sometimes we limit it to our bodies without including our bodies, but also we could include our bodies and expand out. And then like we sometimes often forget that there is a universe out there and we are connected to it. And it's like the universe definitely includes everything, including money, and it's not just that one thing, it includes everything. So it's like if you were connected to all of that, how much fun could you have and be? And that was just such an amazing you know, contribution you had talked about, with the universe. So
Hmm.
yeah.
And if you don't even know what that is, but you're like, yes, I'll have that, sometimes that is enough to begin the journey, kind of thing. And then you have to keep going, and you have to be willing to meet the points of view that are in the way, and you have to be willing to fall off the horse and get back up. Like, it's not a perfect journey. It's not, there's bumps in the road, and it keeps growing and expanding. And like, for the first time I flew to Costa Rica, which was in 2018, I was sure that would be like my first time and my last time, and I would never be able to afford it again. And it was really beyond my scope. And I created it through question and through being really inspired by these people who have been choosing it for a few years, which is the gift of like, could be the gift of like when you see something that someone else has and you're just like, I'll have that too, like without the comparison or the judgment or the, just like, inspiration.
Like I'll have
But
that.
yeah. But then there's the journey. Like, I had to meet that point of view and be like, wait a minute, is that even real and true? But, just be an allowance of what you chose this lifetime and be willing to change it as well.
Mm, yeah. Yep. How long are you there for a while in El Lugar?
I think this is my 10th-ish day in El Lugar. I'm here for like 2 weeks. And
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
That's awesome. Well,
well,
we are at the half an hour mark. Should we wrap it up?
let's wrap it up.
Okay, well, and if anyone would like to book a session with Maya, again, you can check out www.mayadayan.com. And I definitely recommend a session, especially with a certified facilitator, because it creates so much change.
Mm.
So, again, thank you for joining, and we'll probably talk to you soon again.
Thank you. And for everyone listening, just keep asking, what is money for me and what is my reality with money that no one else has?
Awesome.
Bye.